Brought to you by WikiVidi.com. Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons are a professional American football team based in Atlanta, Georgia. The Falcons compete in the National Football League as a member club of the league's National Football Conference South Division. The Falcons joined the NFL in 1965 as an expansion team, after the NFL offered then-owner Rankin Smith a franchise to keep him from joining the rival American Football League. In their 51 years of existence, the Falcons have compiled a record of 3-5-0, 4-5-0, 6 winning division championships in 1980, 1998, 2004, 2010, 2012 and 2016. The Falcons have appeared in 2 Super Bowls, the first being during the 1998 season in Super Bowl XXXIII, where they lost to the Denver Broncos 34-19, and the second being a 34-28 overtime defeat by the New England Patriots in Super Bowl LI. The Falcons' current home field is Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which opened in time for the 2017 season. The team's headquarters and practice facilities are located at a 50-acre site in Flowery Branch, Georgia. Professional football comes to Atlanta. Professional football first came to Atlanta in 1962, when the American Football League staged 2 preseason contests, with one featuring the Denver Broncos versus the Houston Oilers, and the second pitting the Dallas Texans against the Oakland Raiders. 2 years later, the AFL held another exhibition, this time with the New York Jets taking on the San Diego Chargers. In 1965, after the Atlanta Fulton County Stadium was built, the city of Atlanta felt the time was right to start pursuing professional football. One independent group which had been active in NFL exhibition promotions in Atlanta applied for franchises in both the American Football League and the National Football League, acting entirely on its own with no guarantee of stadium rights. Another group reported it had deposited earnest money for a team in the AFL. With everyone running in different directions, some local businessmen worked out a deal and were awarded an AFL franchise on June 7, 1965, contingent upon acquiring exclusive stadium rights from city officials. NFL Commissioner Pete Rozelle, who had been moving slowly in Atlanta matters, was spurred by the AFL interest and headed on the next plane down to Atlanta to block the rival league's claim on the city of Atlanta. He forced the city to make a choice between the 2 leagues. By June 30, the city picked Rankin Smith and the NFL. The Atlanta Falcons franchise began on June 30, 1965, when NFL Commissioner Pete Rozelle granted ownership to 41-year-old Rankin Smith Sr. Smith, an executive vice president of Life Insurance Company of Georgia at the time, paid $8.5 million, the highest price in NFL history at the time for a franchise. Former Commissioner Pete Rozelle and Smith made the deal in about 5 minutes, and the Atlanta Falcons brought the largest and most popular sport to the city of Atlanta. The Atlanta expansion franchise became the 15th NFL franchise, and they were awarded the first pick in the 1966 NFL Draft as well as the final pick in each of the first 5 rounds. The Falcons drafted All-American linebacker Tommy Nobus from the University of Texas with the first pick of the draft, making him the first ever Falcon. The league also held the 1966 NFL expansion draft 6 weeks later, in which the Falcons selected unprotected players from existing franchises. Although the Falcons selected many good players in those drafts, they still were not able to win right away. The Atlanta Falcons Football Club received its nickname on August 29, 1965. Miss Julia Elliott, a school teacher from Griffin, Georgia, was singled out from many people who suggested Falcons as the nickname for the new franchise. Elliott wrote, "The Falcon is proud and dignified with great courage and fight. It never dropped its prey. It is deadly and has a great sporting tradition." 1966-1977 Early struggles. The Falcons had their first season in and their first preseason game on August 1, 1966, losing to the Philadelphia Eagles. Under head coach Norm Pecker, they lost their first 9 regular season games in 1966, and secured their first victory on the road against the New York Giants. The team finished the 1960s with only 12 wins. The Falcons had their first Monday Night Football game in Atlanta during the season, losing 27 to the Miami Dolphins. The only 2 winning seasons in this 12-year period were 1971 and 1973. 1978-1989. In the 1978 season, the Falcons qualified for the playoffs for the first time, and won the wild card game against the Eagles 14-13. The following week they lost to the Dallas Cowboys 27-20 in the divisional playoffs. In the 1980 season, after a 9-game winning streak, the Falcons posted a franchise then-best record of 12-4. and captured their first NFC West Division title. The next week their dream season ended at home, with a loss to the Cowboys 30-27 in the divisional playoffs. In the strike-shortened 1982 season, the Falcons made the playoffs but lost to the Minnesota Vikings 30-24. Falcons coach Leeman Bennett was fired after the loss. The team would then have losing seasons for the next 8 years. 1989-1996. In 1989, the Falcons drafted cornerback Deion Sanders in the first round, who helped them for the next 4 years, setting many records for the franchise. Deion had a flashy appeal, and helped bring media attention to one of the league's most anonymous franchises. Sanders was also famous for playing on Major League Baseball teams while simultaneously playing in the NFL. After defeating the New Orleans Saints in the NFC wildcard game, the Falcons' 1991 season ended in a divisional playoff loss to the Washington Redskins. In 1991, the Falcons drafted Brett Favre as the 33rd overall pick. During his rookie season, he played in 2 games where he amassed a record of 4 passing attempts with 0 receptions and 2 interceptions. The following February, Favre was traded to the Green Bay Packers. In 1992, the Atlanta Falcons opened a new chapter in the history, moving into the newly constructed Georgia Dome, where the team has defeated all 31 other NFL teams at least during its time there. 1997-2000, the Dan Reeves era. In 1998, under recently acquired head coach Dan Reeves, quarterback Chris Chandler and running back Jamal Anderson, the Dirty Bird Falcons had their greatest season to date. On November 8, they beat the New England Patriots 41-10, ending a streak of 22 losses at cold weather sites. The team finished with a franchise-best 14-2 regular season record and the NFC West Division Championship. On January 17, 1999, the Falcons upset the top-seeded Vikings at the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome in the NFC Championship game 30-27 in an exciting overtime victory. However, in their first-ever Super Bowl appearance, they lost 34-19 to the defending champion Denver Broncos in Super Bowl XXXIII. In the second game of the Falcons' 1999 season, running back Jamal Anderson, who had been a key player in the Falcons' 1998 success, suffered a season-ending knee injury. The Falcons finished the season with a very disappointing 5-11 regular season record. In 2000, the Falcons suffered through another horrendous season, finishing 4-12, and once again missing the playoffs. 2001-2006. In the 2001 NFL Draft, the Falcons orchestrated a trade with the San Diego Chargers, acquiring the first overall pick in exchange for wide receiver return specialist Tim Dwight, and the fifth overall pick. The Falcons finished the 2001 season with a record of 7-9, and missed the playoffs. Jesse Tuggle retired following 14 seasons in Atlanta. On December 6, 2001, Arthur M. Blank reached a preliminary agreement with the Falcons' Taylor Smith to purchase the team. In a special meeting prior to Super Bowl XXXIII in New Orleans on February 2, 2002, NFL owners voted unanimously to approve the purchase. The 2002 season saw the Falcons return to the playoffs with a regular season record of 9-6-1, tying the Pittsburgh Steelers. It was Vic's first year as the starter, and the team, with newly acquired running back Warrick Dunn, delivered the Green Bay Packers their first home playoff loss ever, a 26 loss to the Donovan McNabb-led Philadelphia Eagles. The following week, however, ended the Falcons' season. On March 19, 2003, the Falcons presented their new logo. During the 2003 preseason, Vic broke his leg and missed the first 12 games of the season. After losing 7 straight games, the decision was made to release head coach Dan Reeves. Wade Phillips acted as interim coach for the final 3 games. Although the Falcons won 3 of the last 4 games after the return of Vic, they ended up with a 5-11 record that year. In 2004, a new head coach, Jim Elmora, was hired and Vic returned for the full season. The Falcons went 11-5, winning their 3rd division title and earning a first-round bye into the playoffs. In the divisional playoffs, the Falcons defeated the St. Louis Rams 47-17 in the Georgia Dome, advancing to the NFC Championship game, which they lost to the Eagles 27-10. The Falcons again fell short of achieving back-to-back winning seasons in going 8-8. Michael Vick became the first quarterback in league history to rush for more than 1,000 yards in a season, with 1,039. After finishing the season 7-9, however, coach Jim Mora was dismissed and Bobby Petrino, the University of Louisville's football coach, replaced him. Before the 2007 season began, Vick was suspended indefinitely by the NFL after pleading guilty to charges involving dogfighting in the state of Virginia. On December 10, 2007, Vick received a 23-month prison sentence and was officially cut from the Atlanta roster. 2007. For the 2007 season, the Falcons were forced to start Joey Harrington at quarterback. On December 11, 13 games into his first NFL season as head coach, Bobby Petrino resigned without notice to coach at the University of Arkansas, leaving the beleaguered players only a note in the locker room. Secondary coach Emmett Thomas was named interim coach for the final 3 games of the season. On December 12, the Falcons ended the year with a dismal 4-12 record. 2008-2014, the Mike Smith era. After the tumultuous and disappointing 2007 season, the Falcons made a number of moves, hiring a new general manager and head coach, drafting a new starting quarterback, and signing a starting running back. On January 13, 2008, the Falcons named former Patriots director of college football scouting Thomas Dimitroff general manager. On January 23, Jacksonville Jaguars defensive coach and former linebackers coach for the 2000 Super Bowl champion Baltimore Ravens Mike Smith was named the Falcons' new head coach. Chargers backup RB Michael Turner agreed to a 6-year deal, $30 million deal on March 2. On April 26, Matt Ryan was drafted 3rd overall in the 2008 NFL Draft by the Falcons. 2008. The Falcons finished the 2008 regular season with a record of 11-5, and the seed in the playoffs. On December 21, 2008, Atlanta beat the Minnesota Vikings 24-17 to clinch a wild card spot, earning a trip to the playoffs for the first time since 2004. The Falcons would go on to lose in the wild card round of the 2008 NFL playoffs to the eventual NFC champion Arizona Cardinals 30-24. Matt Ryan started all 16 games in his rookie season, and was named the Associated Press Offensive Rookie of the Year. First-year head coach Mike Smith was named 2008 NFL Coach of the Year. 2009. Although they failed to make the playoffs in 2009, the team rallied to win their final 3 regular season games to record back-to-back winning seasons. For the first time in franchise history, the Falcons defeated the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 2010 in the final game of the season to improve their record to 9-7. 2010. In 2010, with a regular season record of 13-3, the Falcons secured a 3rd straight winning season, their 4th overall divisional title and the top overall seed in the NFC playoffs. However, the Falcons were overpowered by the eventual Super Bowl XLV champion Green Bay Packers in the NFC divisional playoffs 48-21. The Falcons scored 414 points, the 5th most in franchise history. The team sent an NFL high and franchise-best 9 players to the 2011 Pro Bowl. 2011. The Falcons made a surprise trade-up with the Cleveland Browns in the 2011 NFL Draft to select Alabama wide receiver Julio Jones 6th overall. In exchange, the Falcons gave up their 1st, 2nd and 4th round draft picks in 2011 and their 1st and 4th draft picks in 2012. Jones, along with teammates Tony Gonzalez and Roddy White, have since been dubbed Atlanta's Big Three. On August 30, 2011, Sports Illustrated senior writer Peter King, who correctly predicted the 2011 Super Bowl, made his predictions for the 2011 season and picked the Falcons to defeat the San Diego Chargers in the 2012 Super Bowl. The Falcons finished the season at 10-6, securing the 5th seed after a Week 17 beatdown of Tampa Bay in which the Falcons pulled their starters after leading 42-0 just 23 minutes into the game. The Falcons then went on to play the New York Giants in a 2011 NFC wildcard game at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. The first half was a defensive struggle, with the first points coming off of a safety by the Falcons, giving Atlanta a 2-0 lead. In the second quarter, though, Eli Manning connected with Hakeem Nicks for a short touchdown pass to make it 7-2 Giants heading into the second half. Then the Giants took control as Manning threw for 2 more TD passes to Mario Manningham and Nicks, and the defense completed its shutout of the Falcons to give the New York Giants the win 24-2. And the Falcons their 3rd straight playoff loss, with Matt Ryan and Mike Smith. After the season, defense coordinator Brian Van Gorder accepted a coaching job at Auburn University, and the offensive coordinator Mike Mularkey took the head coaching job in Jacksonville. 2012. Atlanta exploded out of the gate, going a franchise-best 8-0, and remaining the last unbeaten team in the NFL that year. Their hopes to get an undefeated season came to an end with a 27-31 loss to the division rival Saints. Julio Jones had a remarkable second year, grabbing 10 touchdowns and 1,198 yards. The Falcons finished the season 13-3 and clinched the number 1 seed in the NFC playoffs. The Falcons played the Seattle Seahawks in their first playoff game. Although they went down 28-27 with only 31 seconds left on the clock, Matt Ryan led the team to their first playoff victory, 30-28. It was the only playoff victory in the Mike Smith era. The Atlanta Falcons then advanced to face the San Francisco 49ers. The Falcons seized control of the game early with a Matt Bryant field goal. A trio of Matt Ryan touchdown passes caught by Julio Jones and Tony Gonzalez coupled with outstanding defensive play. By the end of the half, the score was 24-14. The tides of the game began to shift in the second half as the 49ers rallied back with a pair of Frank Gore touchdown runs. Atlanta's offense attempted to reply, but were ultimately shut down by the 49er defense. A few series later, late in the fourth quarter, with little time remaining, Atlanta found themselves in a 4th and 4 situation at the 10-yard line. The Falcons needed just 10 more yards to secure victory and advance to their first Super Bowl berth in 14 years. Matt Ryan fired a pass to Roddy White, which was ultimately broken up by inside linebacker Navarro Bowman, resulting in a 28-24 defeat. 2013. Following the success of the previous season, the Falcons were an expected Super Bowl contender. However, injuries hampered the team's performance and the team finished the season 4-12. With that, the streak of consecutive winning seasons came to an end, and Mike Smith had his first losing season as a head coach. Tony Gonzalez, in his final season in the NFL, was selected to the 2014 Pro Bowl as a starter representing Team Rice. Following the conclusion of the 2012 season, Director of Player Personnel Les Snead departed the team to join the St. Louis Rams, and Dave Caldwell, assistant to General Manager Thomas Dimitroff, left the team to join the Jacksonville Jaguars. Scott Pioli, former GM of the New England Patriots, was announced as the Falcons' new assistant GM. Mike Smith was given a 1-year extension on his contract as head coach. The Falcons had the 6th overall pick in the 2014 NFL Draft, with which they selected Jake Matthews, who played as offensive tackle for Texas A. 2014. Despite having another rough season, the Falcons still had an opportunity to qualify for the playoffs at the end of the regular season. The Falcons hosted the Carolina Panthers in the regular season finale, with the winners clinching the NFC South Division. Unfortunately, the Falcons lost in a 34-3 blowout as Matt Ryan threw 2 interceptions that were returned for touchdowns and got sacked 6 times. The Falcons finished the season 6-10, marking the second consecutive losing season for the team. The following day, Mike Smith was fired after 7 seasons as head coach. The Falcons would soon hire Seattle Seahawks defensive coordinator Dan Quinn as the team's 16th head coach. The Falcons had the 8th overall pick in the 2015 NFL Draft, with which they selected Vic Beasley, a defensive end from Clemson University. 2015. In February 2015, the team was investigated by the NFL for alleged use of artificial crowd noise in the Georgia Dome. The Falcons lost a 2016 NFL Draft selection as a result of the league's investigation. Dan Quinn's first season saw a 5-0 start, the team's best start in 4 years. They would then struggle throughout the rest of the season by losing 8 of the last 11 games, resulting in an 8-8 record. They did, however, give the Panthers their only regular season loss. The Falcons used their first-round pick in the 2016 NFL Draft on safety Keanu Neal from the University of Florida. 2016. In the Falcons' 25th and final season in the Georgia Dome, Atlanta lost their Week 1 game to the Buccaneers 24-31. The Falcons would then win their next 4, including one over the Panthers when the franchise set new records. Matt Ryan threw for 503 yards, and Julio Jones caught 12 passes for 300 yards. With a 41-13 thrashing of the San Francisco 49ers in Week 15, the Falcons improved to 9-5 and secured their first winning season since 2012. 1 week later, the Falcons defeated the Panthers in Charlotte, North Carolina, and clinched their first NFC South Division title since 2012. In their last regular season game at the Georgia Dome, the Falcons defeated the New Orleans Saints and secured an 11-5 record and a first-round bye. In the divisional round of the playoffs, Atlanta defeated the Seahawks 36-20 in the Georgia Dome and hosted the last game at the Dome against the Green Bay Packers in the NFC Championship game on January 22, 2017. The Falcons defeated the Packers 44-21 to advance to Super Bowl LI as the NFC champions. Atlanta was up 28-3 late in the third quarter, and the New England Patriots scored 31 unanswered points, with the last 6 in the first ever overtime in the Super Bowl. The Patriots' 25-point comeback was the largest in Super Bowl history. In 2016, the Falcons scored 540 points in the regular season, the 7th most in NFL history, tied with the greatest show on turf. However, the Falcons' defense gave up 406 points, 27th in the league. 2017. The Falcons moved into their new home at Mercedes-Benz Stadium this season. Their first game ever played at the new stadium was a preseason loss to the Arizona Cardinals. The first regular season game at the new stadium was a rematch of the 2016-17 NFC Championship, with Atlanta defeating Green Bay 34-23. Their first loss of the season was a 23-17 home defeat to the Buffalo Bills in Week 4. Stadiums. The Falcons have called only 2 stadiums home in their 51 years of existence, and will have a third home in the history in the late summer of 2017. The first was the Atlanta Fulton County Stadium, sharing with the Atlanta Braves Major League Baseball team until 1991. In 1992, the Georgia Dome was built, and the Falcons played there from its opening to the 2016 season. The Dome has been frequently used for college football, including Georgia State football and college bowl games such as the Peach Bowl. In an effort to replace the aging Georgia Dome and potentially host a future Super Bowl, team owner Arthur Blank proposed a deal with the city of Atlanta to build a new state-of-the-art stadium not far from where the Georgia Dome is located. Blank will contribute $800 million, and the city of Atlanta will contribute an additional $200 million via bonds backed by the city's hotel, motel tax towards the construction of a retractable roof stadium. Blank will contribute additional money for cost overruns if it is needed. The team will provide up to $50 million towards infrastructure costs that weren't included in the construction budget and to retire the remaining debt on the Georgia Dome. In addition, Blank's foundation and the city will each provide $15 million for development in surrounding neighborhoods. Though the total cost of the stadium was initially estimated to be around $1 billion, the total cost was revised to $1.5 billion according to Blank. In March 2013, the Atlanta City Council voted 11-4 in favor of building the stadium. The retractable roof Mercedes-Benz Stadium broke ground in May 2014 and will begin hosting the Falcons and Atlanta United's Major League Soccer games in 2017. Logo and uniforms. The Atlanta Falcons' colors are red, black, silver and white. When the team debuted in 1966, the Falcons wore red helmets with a black falcon crest logo. In the center of the helmet was a center black stripe surrounded by 2 gold stripes and 2 white stripes. These colors represented the 2 college rival schools in the state of Georgia. Rival schools Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets and the Georgia Bulldogs. Although the gold was later taken out, the white remains to this day. They wore white pants and either black or white jerseys. At first, the Falcon crest logo was also put on the jersey sleeves, but it was replaced by a red and white stripe pattern 4 years later. They switched from black to red jerseys in 1971, and the club began to wear silver pants in 1978. A prototype white helmet was developed for the team prior to the 1974 season but was never worn. In 1990, the uniform design changed to black helmets, silver pants, and either black or white jerseys. The numbers on the white jerseys were black but were changed to red in 1997. Both the logo and uniforms changed in 2003. The logo was redesigned with red and silver accents to depict a more powerful, aggressive falcon, which now more closely resembles the capital letter F. Although the Falcons still wore black helmets, the new uniforms featured jerseys and pants with red trim down the sides. The uniform design consisted of either black or white jerseys and either black or white pants. During that same year, a red alternate jersey with black trim was also introduced. The Falcons also started wearing black cleats with these uniforms. In 2004, the red jerseys became the primary jerseys, and the black ones became the alternate, both worn with white pants. In select road games, the Falcons wear black pants with white jerseys. The Falcons wore an all-black combination for home games against their arch-rivals, the New Orleans Saints, winning the first 2 contests, but losing 31-13 in. The Falcons wore the all-black combination against the New Orleans Saints for 4 straight seasons, starting in 2004, with the last time being in 2007, losing 34-14. They wore the combination again in 2006 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Week 2. The Falcons won that game 14-3. The Falcons also wore their all-black uniform in 2007 against the New York Giants, and in 2008 against the Carolina Panthers and against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In the 1980s, the Falcons wore their white uniforms at home most of the time because of the heat. When the Falcons started playing in a dome, the team switched to their dark uniforms for home games, but have worn their white uniforms at home a few times since switching to the dome. It was announced at the 2009 State of the Franchise meeting that the Falcons would wear 1966 throwback uniforms for a couple games during the 2009 season. The Atlanta Falcons wore 1966 throwback jerseys for 2 home games in 2009 against the Carolina Panthers on September 20th and against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on November 29th. The Falcons won both of those games. They donned the throwbacks again for 2 games in 2010 against Baltimore and San Francisco, winning both of those games as well. New Orleans Saints. In every season except for their debut season, the Falcons have shared a division with the New Orleans Saints. Over this time, a heated rivalry has developed between the 2 cities' franchises. Atlanta leads the series 51-45. Carolina Panthers. In addition, the Falcons share a similar yet smaller rivalry with the Carolina Panthers, with both teams having been in the NFC West from the Panthers' founding in 1995 to the NFL realignment in 2002, where they have been in the NFC South since then. The Falcons lead the series 27-17. Pro Football Hall of Famers Sanders and Humphrey are the only two players in the Hall of Fame that have been inducted based substantially on their service with the Falcons. Anderson spent 8 of his 25 NFL seasons with the Falcons and remains the team's all-time scoring leader, but he also played his first 13 NFL seasons with the New Orleans Saints, also leading the team's career scoring list. Ring of Honor. The Atlanta Falcons organization does not officially retire jersey numbers, but considers certain players' jerseys worthy of being honored. The Falcons Ring of Honor, which is featured in the rafters of the Georgia Dome, honors individual players. Radio and television. Falcons' flagship radio station is WZGC 92.9 The Game. Wes Durham, son of longtime North Carolina Tar Heels voice Woody Durham, is the Falcons' play-by-play announcer, with former Atlanta Falcons QB and Pro Football veteran Dave Archer serving as color commentator. In 2014, the CW-owned and operated station WUPA became the official television station of the Falcons, gaining rights to its preseason games, which are produced by CBS Sports. In the regular season, the team's games are seen on Fox's CBS affiliate WGCL will air those games, while Sunday night games are televised on WXIA, the local NBC affiliate. Brought to you by WikiVidi.com. Would you like